Hey everybody, welcome to Cupcakes Comic Reviews, and today we're going to check out two books from the DSTLRY publication. So the first one is DSTLRY Devil's Cut, which is basically their first book, first ever produced book, and the other one is the amazing Eisner nominated book Somna by Tula Lote and Becky Cloonan. So stay tuned. Alright guys, welcome back to the video. Okay, first of all, let's find out what is DSTLRY. So DSTLRY is a new publication just like Image Comics, which was started in August of 2023 by a bunch of creators. And some of those creators are, they include, the founding creators are Mirka Andolfo, Brian Azzarello, you've got Becky Cloonan, Francisco Francavilla, Jock, Lee Garbett, Joel Jones, our DC boys, James Tynion and the Ford, Scott Snyder, Ram V, you've got Tula Lote, you've got Jamie Kelvy, Stephanie Phillips, Eduardo Riso, Christian Ward, and Will Dunny, who's basically the editor of all of these. So this is the first book they launched, and called The Devil's Cut. And this book has short stories by the entire creative team I just mentioned. So there are stories by Brian Azzarello, a cowboy story by Brian Azzarello and Ed Riso of 100 Bullets fame, Scott Snyder and Francisco Francavilla from Batman, Black Mirror fame. They do a story called Whiteboard, and then obviously there is Becky Cloonan and Tula Lote who do this one, What Blighted Flame Burns in Thee. So the ones that stood out to me specifically, so I read it back in 2023, this book. When I bought it, but then what really the stories, like the art on all of the books are like phenomenal, but the stories out of these 11 short stories that really stood out to me was Whiteboard by Snyder and Francavilla. So I think let's take a look at that first. So Whiteboard is about this dude who gets this free trip on this luxury liner, an ocean liner, and he comes in, and then he goes to his cabin. And in his cabin, he's stunned to find out that it is the same as his room back at home, right? It looks exactly same, and all the furniture is same. And then that's when he finds out that the captain just left the boat, and then he just went out. The captain who welcomed him basically. So he just leaves, and then he's trapped in this boat by himself, and he doesn't know what's going on. And then at the same time, there's a thump on his cabin door, and he sees that it's his best friend who's there. And basically he's trapped on this boat by himself. So that's like the trailer of the entire book. So I really liked it, so I'm gonna buy a Whiteboard too. Now it's all collected. So I'm gonna read Whiteboard. I like Francavilla's art like since ages, since Black Mirror days, and Snyder is Snyder. Then the other book that really kind of sort of captivated me from an art perspective and from a story perspective was What in Blighted Flame Burns in Thee. What Blighted Flame Burns in Thee. So this is again by Becky Cloonan and Tula Lote. So Becky Cloonan and Tula Lote are like amazing artists in their own rights. They've done a lot of Marvel DC work. So, but I am a bigger fan of Tula Lote, just because she does a lot of this painted art, and she has done a lot of these covers for Aquaman. That's how I discovered her, and specifically for the character of Mera. So then I was like researching what else has Tula Lote done, and I found out that a lot of this these DSTLRY stuff is her creator-owned stuff. So I was like, hey, I do want to check it out and then see what it's all about. So Becky Cloonan and Tula Lote they focus more on the so both their stories. This is the short story, and Somna, which is like the full-on graphic novel, they focus on the Salem witch trial era, so medieval times of the 1800s. And what they do is always the character, there's a central character who's a woman, and she's been accused of being a witch. So that's where their themes of are specifically focused, and she's accused, and then and how does she come out of it? Do they make it? Do they not make it? That's what the whole story is about, right? So in this case, this girl, her mom accuses her of being a witch because there is a plague, and the plague takes a lot of lives, and her mom believes that she's the bringer of the plague because she's a witch. So she gets arrested. The local town's sheriff kind of arrests her, and then She does have a lover, and whether the lover is able to, he visits her and says that I have a plan of rescuing you, and that's what the short story is about. So I can't tell you anything more because it's a short story, but as you can see that the art style switches between the Becky Cloonan art, which is the regular art, and then the Tula Lote art, which is this amazing, gorgeous painted art, like with the colors and everything, which is so realistic, right? So yeah, so then and that's what this book is about, you know. So that about her escape, whether she's able to make it or not, and he hatches a plan to get her out. Now let's focus more on our bigger book, which is basically Somna in this case. So Somna, again, this is a hardcover, right? And this one kind of sort of retails for $30 US. And as you can see, this has mature content. And the size of this is much bigger than a regular trade paperback also. So if you can see a size comparison here, so you get a lot more. It's a different style. So, you know, spine wise, you know, squeeze it in your, it sticks out on the regular Kalax bookshelves a little bit, but I think it'll fit in fine if you have those. But yeah, let's get into a little bit of the story. As you can see, I have to put like bookmarks here because I don't want to show the spicy pages, and there's a lot of spiciness here. So if you're into like erotic comics or something, which a lot of people are, and not judging anyone, I am too. So this one will totally work for you. So again, this is Somna. As you can see, it's about, there's a lot of imagery here on the end sheets, and mostly related to witchcraft, right? So mostly deals with witchcraft. So again, so this one is about Ingrid, who's our main character, and she's a lonely housewife, and she's by herself. So her husband is the judge of the town, so he's the village judge, and he's responsible for finding and condemning witches, and he works alongside the church. Now basically what happens is he's been ignoring Ingrid because, you know, his job is very important to him, and, you know, he wakes up early in the morning and comes late at the night, and he's not giving Ingrid the time she needs as a companion, as a partner, as a husband, right? And what happens is Ingrid dreams of this demonic kind of sort of entity who comes in her dreams, and he does all the hanky-panky she wants, and at the same time he's trying to convince Ingrid to surrender to the demon. So the demon wants to says Ingrid to, like, you know, surrender and become his slave and everything. Ingrid resists every time, and but then the demon visits her every night, and then in the morning she wakes up and she doesn't know if she's in a trance or what has happened. Is it real or is it just a dream, right? So as I mentioned, that the husband is like he's not paying attention to her. He's more interested in his job. And what has happened in this village is that there is this woman who has been condemned as a witch, and this morning the husband has to go and basically execute her, right? Burn her at the stake. So and so he immediately leaves, and that's what when you see that this is all the Becky Cloonan art. So as you can see, like, you know, there's a burning and Ingrid witnesses the burning, and then we switch back to the Tula Lote painted art, which is amazing because it's all about what Ingrid feels. All her feelings, all her imagination is depicted by the lovely Tula Lote. Now Ingrid is not exactly alone, so she has a friend Maya, who's basically a friend of hers, and she confides into Maya about her dreams, her secrets and everything. And Maya is also like a little bit like your typical friend. She likes to gossip about, so she says that this woman who was burnt, her husband is still there and he's lonely and by himself, etc., etc. So they talk about what's happening in the town, and, you know, Ingrid confides in her, and so on and so forth. The husband comes back in the night. Ingrid is like, hey, do you want to have like a cozy snuggle? But then the husband wants nothing to do with it. He's like, God's blood, Ingrid, get a hold of yourself. I am busy, I gotta do, so I'm gonna go out, and, you know, I'm tired and I don't have the time for you. And then again, so she sleeps by herself, and the entity again visits her, and the entity does all the hanky-panky she wants. But basically what the plot is that she's being ignored by her husband and this entity who's trying to manipulate her. there is the friend, and there is also this guy, this father or parish from the church, Father Goodman, who's basically angry with Ingrid because Ingrid is stuck at home and she's not coming to the church as often as he would like her to visit. Right, this is all in the 1800s, the 17th century, and how women were treated at that time and what was expected of them. It deals with a lot of that, and it's not your typical Marvel DC fanfare. This book is not a superhero book. It is a very kind of tragic story at the same time. It's a very good read, I would say. Right, it explores themes of sexual repression, desire, isolation, loneliness, and so on and so forth. Right, so so again, what happens more in the story, and I don't want to give a lot away because again, this is a very small it's a very quick read. Right, so basically what the demon does is, the entity, he forces one night Ingrid to, this is the guy, the husband, this is the husband of the woman who was convicted as a witch and who died. So now he's by himself, and so one night the entity basically forces Ingrid to go out of her house and go to the nearby Maya's house, where she sees that this dude and Maya are doing the hanky panky. So now she knows the secret, right? And at the same time, the entity is trying to manipulate her into submission. So that's happening. The husband, who's completely rejected her and who's basically working with the church trying to find all these witches. And and at the same time, the husband comes back home and finds Ingrid in a state of trance, because after what she has witnessed, and she's of course without clothes or anything, and eventually one thing leads to the other, and the husband accuses her of being a witch, and now she's convicted and she has to get out, and that's basically the whole story. Right, so again, I don't know how much I can flip through this, right, but then that's what the whole story is about. Husband accuses her, and then now she's accused of a witch. Now they put her inside the prison, and then and she's to figure out a way to escape, and deal with the entity, deal with her best friend's secret, and deal with her husband, and come out at the other end. So will she be able to do that? Will she? Won't she? That's basically what the plot of the book is, right? So again, how I define a distillery book is basically it's it's like the A24 of comic books, and they've got really weird plots, and some of it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, but they do deliver a good package. At the end of the day, they definitely get you interested. So I can show you some of the extras. So again, the hanky panky, the spicy covers here, art, gorgeous art by Becky Cloonan, Antula Lotte, and Joel Jones does the colors on some of it. So again, you see different kinds of these covers, and these were all released in this mega large format book. So kind of like the Savage Sword magazine style format book, and these covers are awesome. These covers are really amazing and really beautiful. So if somebody bought the single issues, then they probably got most of these covers. And you know what, I mentioned A24, and just 4 days ago they announced that Somna, this book, is being made into an A24 movie, right? So I'm curious to check out the movie. It's gonna be amazing. So how in one line, if I have to describe this book, it's basically like the Witch movie from Robert Eggers, combined with Midsommar movie, which starring Florence Pugh, and it's an amalgamation of that. So again, if you're into horror, you would like this book. If you're into the supernatural, you would like this book. If you are into painted artwork and weird art style and nasty times, you would definitely like this book. So take it as you will, but that's my review of the book, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, if you have any questions, then please put that in the comments, and share and subscribe and comment and everything. Thanks everybody. Check you out in the next one.